Well, the Tigers offense goes completely flat yet again as they lose their first series in a while. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Thursday to all. The Tigers do play on Thursday. Pretty notorious. That seems way too dramatic. Popular, rather. Off day, and we had last Thursday off. We'll have next Thursday off. Today, though, the Tigers kick off a 4-game set against the Royals. We'll preview that at the end. In the meantime, we have a 5-1 loss at the hands of the Milwaukee Brewers to go over. Tigers lose, as I just said, 5-1. Their record is now 10-8 on the season. My first thought here is that this was a series loss. The Tigers have not had very many series losses. This is the first one they have had since opening weekend, where they were swept against the Dodgers. And it's so it's so painfully obvious that it's the offense, man. Like you aren't going to win too many series when you score 1 run total across 2 games in a 3-game set. And that's what happened. 1 total run in game 2 and 3 of this series combined. That's not going to win you too many ball games. They went at one point before the Torkelson homer 18 consecutive innings without scoring a run. And the reason why that's even more frustrating than just the fact that it's frustrating to watch, and I'm sure for the players frustrating to be a part of, because they scored 9 in game 1. 9 runs in the first game, 10 runs in the 3-game series. Not great. So, we want to jump into what went wrong. We will break down the offense a little bit more, talk about some of the individual players. I want to talk about the lineup card specifically in this game. But we know that the offense is the reason that the Tigers sit here with a series loss at the end of it. Okay? We understand that. This was not a case where it was 2 1-0 losses, though, or like everything else went really well, or they just got super unlucky. This was a team effort for sure. And that's why when we go to what went wrong, I want to start with the pitching and actually talk about Keider Montero before we break down the offense a little bit more. I also want to make it clear, I almost put Keider Montero in stuff and not in what went wrong. But ultimately, 5 earned runs and 3 home runs against in just 5 innings of work. I feel like that's not a good enough line to justify really falling anywhere else, even if he's not like the reason the Tigers lost. This was just a game where the stuff was really good. And when it was located even remotely, even close to where he wanted to put it, he was pretty darn incredible and actually got really good results. It's just when he missed really, really, really badly. Threw a changeup to a lefty, through two, I think. Well, the Yelich one was definitely a changeup that was literally right over the heart of the plate. And that ball was tanked. All 3 home runs. The one, he literally just threw 3 straight fastballs. Like, what are we doing here? Right? I don't know if that was his call, if that was Nito's call. I have no clue. Coaching staff. He missed his spot, too. He needs to get that pitch higher and a little bit more outside. That caught way too much of the plate. But there was just some normal hiccups with a young, inexperienced pitcher. And he has really good stuff. he was already decent last year, and his stuff is better this year. We saw that in spring training. There were people that wanted him to make the team out of camp. I get it. But the Tigers want to make sure he's a starting pitcher. It is an option for them in the rotation. You can't just put someone in the bullpen and then magically one day go, hey, I know you've been throwing, 15 pitches every 2 days or 3 days all season. Have fun. You're going out there and throwing 100. He's got to continue developing and getting reps as a starting pitcher. So this was just a weird start. Okay. It wasn't a great outing. I'm not here to tell you it was a great outing. It's ultimately on the side of things that went wrong in this game. But there was still a lot to like at the same time. This was not an outing you watch and you just go, okay, well, like this guy sucks and nothing good can come of this. The stuff will play, I assure you. And 8 strikeouts in 5 innings with the amount of swing and miss he had in this game, I think is evidence of that. Also want to point out the pitcher defense in this game sucked. I mean, all around, dude. Brant Herter was, my goodness, had a couple of plays where he was just spiking the ball into the dirt and airmailing it. But not a great day for the pitchers on the defensive side of things. Andy Dirks winning that argument in Wednesday's game. We can now get to the offense. Wanted to, again, just kind of start with the pitching just for, I don't know, to shake things up for the sake of keeping you on your toes, I guess. But this was, again, a really rough offensive performance. I already kind of highlighted all of the drought stats and how many hits and runs and whatever. Riley Greene continues to struggle mightily. That kind of goes without saying. If you've been watching these games even remotely, he goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Last week, 4 or 5 episodes ago, I was saying like, oh yeah, he's struggling, but look at his season numbers. They're still not that bad. That is quickly kind of fading. Riley Greene is now hitting 206 with a 636 OPS, and that's after getting off to a fantastic start at the beginning of the season, the first week or so of the year. So, man, like we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, but and we already did talk about it yesterday as well. He is far too important for this baseball team. And the way that they are going to have to produce runs to go on these long stretches of and like this is even worse than normal, quote unquote, right? Like we are used to him being somewhat of a streaky hitter. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the week too. Cody Stavenhagen of The Athletic tweeted out a graph kind of showing his spikes and peaks and valleys and whatnot on the offensive side of the ball in his career. This one is like the drought to end all droughts. Like this is not just a normal, like, oh yeah, his OPS dips down to 600 for a little bit. This is, like he's like 1 for his last 30 something. So got to get that figured out. Obviously kind of goes without saying. His timing is just a mess. That's really the biggest thing for me. The mechanics have worked for him before. I trust his swing. I trust the player. I think he will be fine. I don't think that this is like, oh my goodness, he's just awful now. He'll figure it out. But A, want it to happen sooner rather than later, obviously. And B, he's got to figure out how to get his timing back because right now it is a mess. It is an absolute mess. He's late on fastballs. He can't hit anything that is a low breaking ball, like down at his ankles in any way, shape, or form. Just looks like he's kind of guessing up there. So we'll keep an eye on that. This was not just all on Riley Greene, though. This was, again, a back-to-back team efforts of poor offense. We'll keep the ball rolling and talk about some other players as well as the lineup card right after this. Got a talk deal today about our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn on any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick TV 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25, fantastic game, or Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds so you can stay competitive. There's also 4K streaming, as in the name of the device. You can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and so much more. Also, it's just simple. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire Stick 4K, 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. Also got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game. We know that here over at Locked On Tigers. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking for last-minute Game Time tickets, well, Game Time is the place for you. They have last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets, plus ticket prices drop as the game gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On, and as the Detroit Tigers are in town this weekend, I can count on Game Time to help grab tickets to meet my needs. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the Royals and previewing the weekend ahead. Talking about the offense, we touched on Riley Greene before the break there. Trey Sweeney in this game, I thought, looked pretty overpowered at the plate. He went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. He is now hitting 196 with a 601 OPS on the season. Just as I've talked about a lot, just has that big loopy swing. And unless he's going to start drawing a lot of walks and become kind of a 3 true outcome type of player, I have serious concerns about whether he's going to be able to put the ball in play enough to be that effective everyday player. But as it stands right now, I mean, the situation with him and Javi at shortstop, I understand trying to get both of them into the lineup in some capacity with all of the injuries and the lack of third base and whatnot that this roster currently finds itself in. So we'll keep an eye on that. The team goes 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position yet again. That is 2 games in a row with 0 happening with runners in scoring position. Obviously, that kind of, again, balloons into all situations for the second game in a row as well. One of the things offensively I want to talk about, 2 things. One is the lineup card. One is just, like you see at the end of this game, they had 4 walks and 7 hits. Like, in theory, you should be scoring some more runs with 11 base runners. In this game specifically, aside from just the lack of clutch hitting, which we already talked about, there was a lot of base runners with 2 outs. Like, it just felt like that is not a recipe for consistent run scoring, right? Like, if you want to produce runs, you have to get on base early in the innings so that you can afford to trade outs for 90 feet. And they just didn't do that. It felt like every time they did get on base, which was not terribly often, but again, 11 base runners isn't nothing in a full game. That's a solid amount. The Brewers had 10. The Brewers had 8 hits and 2 walks. Now, part of that is power kind of trumps all, right? They had 3 home runs in this game. The Tigers obviously just with the one solo shot, but a lot of it was because they'd get a runner on they do nothing in the first two batters and then get a runner on with 2 outs, or they'd get a runner out, or they get a runner on and then have a double play. And then the next guy would get a hit and be like, okay, well now we have, man on, you get a walk with 2 outs. Like there was just a lot of that going on, and it was pretty frustrating. The lineup card was also not great. And I don't mean not great from the sense of like the way it was constructed. I trust AJ Hinch kind of fully at this point. It just was where the roster is at right now. The bottom half of this lineup was Javi Baez, Tomas Nido, Trey Sweeney, Ryan Kreidler. That was 6 through 9 in the lineup. Now, the offense has been really good so far this season, outside of the last 2 games, because they have gotten a lot of production from those bottom players in the lineup. We talked about Zach McKinstry a lot and his hot start to the year. Javi Baez, as I just mentioned, he's gotten off to a great start this season. You've got you've received Dylan Dingler, like you've received offensive production from those kind of bottom half of the lineup players. And in this game, you didn't. And that on top of one of your best players in Riley Greene struggling mightily just is not a recipe for sustainable offensive production. So the production from the bottom half takes a lot of pressure off of the top half, and you didn't have either after the first game in this series. My point of bringing this up is that this lineup just cannot look like that in the bottom half of it all year. Like if the bottom of the lineup looks like it did and has the personnel that it did on Wednesday's game all season, this is going to go downhill really quickly. Now, the reason why I'm saying that, and I tell you right after, that won't happen. Not that I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe it does go downhill fast. But the reason why that won't is because reinforcements are coming. Like there are injured players that are going to be back from the injured list here. And hopefully the bottom of the lineup doesn't look like this. And Vierling can come back, and there goes Kreidler. You replace him with Vierling. Winfield Perez hopefully is back at some point in May. You get Jake Rogers back. He struggled offensively, but it's better than Tomas Nido. Like you have guys that will be back in the mix over the next couple of weeks. It's just a matter of A, getting them back, B, getting them up to speed so they're producing at a decent level. Because again, you can't have a lineup that looks like that on a consistent basis. What went right in this game? Not a whole lot. I do want to highlight Will Vest, who went 1 inning of perfect ball with 2 strikeouts. That is the best I've seen him throw it. In a while, but that almost maybe isn't even true. He's just looked so good since August of last year. We made the joke on the show last season that his performance and his numbers turned around when he had his most recent child, when him and his wife had his most recent child. And maybe it's just dad strength now. And he's just, rolling, and good for him. But this is, we're now going on, again, what I guess of gameplay, like 4 months of him looking like one of the better relievers in this pen. And he was dominant in this game. Brant Herter, 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout of shutout ball. Had the awful defense, but looked pretty darn solid on the mound, was really effective against lefties, as we know he is. Want to give him his flowers as well. Offensively, want to talk Javi, want to talk Torque. Okay, those are the 2 that I'm going to highlight in this game because there's not a lot offensively to highlight. Torkelson goes 1 for 3 with a walk and a home run. Beautiful. Gets on base twice. Scores the only RBI of the game. The coolest thing about that home run was that he went with the ball. And that is something that early in his career, we talked about it a ton on this show, about how like he should pull everything, and he needs to pull everything because that's where all of his offense comes from. That has changed mightily. That is so much not the case anymore with this new look Spencer Torkelson. He is going with the baseball. He's driving the ball to all parts of the field. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it was nice to see him get rewarded for that in this ball game. Absolute beauty. And then Javi. Goes 2 for 4 at the plate. He's now hitting, I think it's 289 on the season. And as I've talked about all week, like he's hitting 289. His OPS is 689. Like he's still not going to walk a lot, and he has no power anymore. Like literally none at all. But I'll take this. I'll take solid at bats. Had some walks this series, putting the ball in play consistently, not striking out a ton, not swinging and missing a ton. I'll take it. And the thing that I actually liked the most in this game was he finally got challenged a little bit in center field and looked like a natural, man. Like that is the thing that is so it's like a superhero that like hung up his cape and like retired, right? It's like, oh, sometimes though he will just like run to the other end of the house, or like when he does chores, he like lifts the couch up, and it's like he's not a superhero anymore, but he can still do that. Like Javi he has the most incredible baseball instincts and reactions you will see. It's just he doesn't have the swing anymore. And it's moments like that where you really realize how talented he still is. So hopefully he keeps that up, because this is now like 3 or 4 games in a row where he's been on the side of things that went right. I think he's, everything's relative. This is relative to what I was expecting out of Javi, not relative to like an all-star caliber player. But I think that he does deserve some credit for making some tangible and noticeable adjustments this season. Let's talk stuff. Okay, we'll do that right after this. Got to talk to you all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Basketball and hockey playoffs are here, and there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With Prize Picks, you simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can simply combine players across sports as well, basketball, hockey, baseball, and more, for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. There's a lot in basketball. The Lakers, the Pistons in the postseason, the play-in tournament starting tonight. Absolutely fantastic. And on the hockey side of things, obviously you have stars like McDavid being cleared to play. He's healthy. That is a beautiful thing for hockey and for the postseason. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, everybody, welcome back. Your third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in as always. Let's talk stuff. The balk was wild. I don't want to be like, if that was my team, I would say it isn't, but it is. So I'm going to say it is. Like I don't want to be that person. I tried to avoid that, and ultimately it didn't matter. But like I think that should have been a balk, and I say it didn't matter because the next pitch was ball 4. So there was a runner on second base anyway, a pitch later. But I disagree with the call for whatever that is worth, which is I realize not really a lot to anybody. Keider Montero called up. The corresponding move was Hannafy optioned. We will see if, so I'm recording this right after the game on Wednesday, so a corresponding roster move has not been announced, but I'm sure as you're listening to this, you probably are aware of whatever that corresponding move is. It could be, Montero sticks around for a little bit, maybe another turn through the rotation just to give them that extra day off, because they don't have another day off for, a week now. Well, they already haven't had one in a week. They're going 2 weeks without one. So maybe he sticks and they do a 6-man rotation for just one time through the roto and then send him back down after. Maybe Montero is sent back down and Hannafy's called right back up before Thursday's game. I'm not sure, but we'll keep an eye on that, obviously. This game was another frustrating one. It kind of started at the beginning. I think it was that double play by Gleyber Torres to start off the ball game was, well, not literally, you get my point. The second batter of the game was, I think, really killer, man. Like that is, you have Malloy draw a walk and really work the count. Then you have a double play by Gleyber. Then you have another walk, and you have a lot of really deep counts. They made Quintana really work in that first inning. And then they just completely failed to adjust, and they couldn't maintain that. And he was kind of smooth sailing outside of the torque homer for the rest of his outing. What else? Colt Keith had a pinch hit single. That's nice. We'll take that whenever we can. Really, the biggest thing I just want to drive home is like the sky is not falling. You're still 10-8. You've still, looked really, really solid. Cleveland hasn't played yet in my version of reality, so I don't know whether you're going to keep that spot of first place in the AL Central or not. But either way, like you're still up there. Like the season is not over because you lost a series to the Brewers that won the National League Central last year. Like it's all right. But it is impossible to ignore that the offense looked brutal. And I think that why there is a concern level after this is because if you were to ask the common fan, what's the word? I don't want to say normal, the normal fan, or any of us normal. If you were to ask, most fans before the season, how are losses going to look for the Tigers this year, I think a lot of people would point to the last two games, and maybe even have lower scores against. Obviously not the greatest pitching performances in either of these two, but I'm not too worried about that. So I you just got to pick up the pieces. You got to pick up the pieces. You got to put it behind you. It's a long season. It's the middle of April. There's so much baseball left. Get back on the horse. Get back to scoring some runs and putting together consistent competitive at-bats throughout an inning and take it from there. But this is not, like the end of the world. It's all right. We'll try and bounce back this weekend against the Royals. Huge series. 4-game set, starts at 6:40 p.m. You're at home. This is good baseball right here. At least I hope so. You're not only at home, 4-game series. This is a Royals team that is young, up and coming, had a great year last year, has one of the best young stars in all of baseball. This is a series you have to take advantage of. The Royals, before their game on Wednesday night, because that has, again, not happened yet in my reality, they have lost 4 of their last 5, but they are 8-10 and 2 games back from the Detroit Tigers. Again, at the time of this recording, that's going to shift half a game in either direction, depending on what they do tonight. Last night, as you're listening to this, the pitching matchups are Lorenzo Cain against Reese Olson, Cole Reagans against Jackson Jobe, Seth Lugo against Casey Mize, and Michael Wacha against Tarek Skubal. So, I love being able to throw Skubal in game 4 of a 4-game series. Drop the hammer at the end. If you've dropped the first 3, you can do that and try and avoid a sweep. If you took 2 of the first 3, you can throw out Tarek to try to win the series. If you're down 1-2, you can throw Tarek and try to even it out. He is just the great equalizer. I absolutely love the fact that he's lined up to go in the final game of this series. Lorenzen, we are very familiar with, was a Tiger for half a season. Cole Reagans versus Jackson Jobe is an uphill battle. And that's not, obviously, I think the world of Jobe. But Cole Reagans is one of the best young pitchers that this sport has to offer. So we will see. And he just, I think, struck out, 10 or 11 just in his last outing. He's a dog. And Seth Lugo was, runner-up for Cy Young out of nowhere last year. Had a fantastic season, completely out of the blue a year ago. Has gotten off to a decent start this year. I doubt he'll be that again. But he recorded 10 different unique pitches in his last start. So, they got good pitching, and they have a young, solid offense. They, like I said, have one of the best all-around players in all of baseball. So let's go win a series against those Royals and against an AL Central foe. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. After you make us your first listen, make Locked On MLB Game Night your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get your local analysis on a national scale. It's really cool. They have a couple of hosts. It's kind of a revolving door, but Jake Rietma is one of them, your Locked On Tigers postcast host. Does that show, does a phenomenal job there. And they bring in a lot of the immediate reaction videos from the local hosts. They break down all the games, talk about the biggest stories in baseball. It is a fantastic way. It always starts right after the final game of the evening ends. You can find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.